Heartwarming, a struggling mother with her child reveals an incredible, life-changing turnaround. Emily's hands shook with the weight of her situation as she rushed through the door, the after-school chaos of their cramped apartment momentarily sending her heart racing. The smell of the macaroni she'd prepared for Lucas filled the air, juxtaposing the worry gnawing at her. Her 10-year-old son burst through the door, laughter spilling from him like sunlight, pure and vibrant. It was the best sound in the world. "Mom, you won't believe what happened at school today," he shouted, his eyes sparkling. She forced a smile, momentarily pushing aside her exhaustion, the worry lines on her face softening just enough for Lucas's joy to penetrate her heavy heart. But beneath the surface, she felt the tension of financial strain tightening its grip on her chest. Juggling 2 jobs barely kept them afloat, and just yesterday, the news hit like a punch to the gut: her second job was downsizing. What would this mean for them? Could they stay in their little apartment? Emily swallowed hard, her throat tight as she watched Lucas beam, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing just outside their window. For weeks, the weight of this uncertainty hung over her like a shadow, as emotions surged and receded like the tide. Despite the burden, Emily held on to her values of integrity and the importance of family, teaching Lucas that no matter how tough life gets, sticking together matters most. But as she lay awake at night, staring at the ceiling, doubt crawled into her mind. Was it enough? Would her son ever have the life he deserved? Just as things seemed bleak, her estranged father came back into focus, an unwelcome specter. Memories of their fractured relationship clawed at her. He had been absent for years, a soldier who fought battles far away but never came home to her. The thought of confronting him felt like navigating a minefield. Yet, deep down, Emily wanted a chance to mend the past, driven by hope but haunted by fear. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. With the community fundraiser approaching, Emily felt a flicker of hope amidst her hopelessness. They had rallied around the idea of lifting their struggling town together, and Emily felt it could be a way not only to support their lives, but also to bridge the gap with her father if he chose to step in. To her astonishment, he did. He donated supplies and time, transforming her view of him. As they worked side by side, the ice that once divided them began to thaw, yet so much depended on her next move. Could she forgive the man who had failed her? Each moment together brought back painful memories, but also opportunities for healing, a tug-of-war between past and possibility. The stakes felt higher than ever as Emily stood on the edge of a new chapter. The path to forgiveness loomed before her, heavy yet glimmering with the hope of reconciliation. Would she allow herself to break free, to embrace not only her father but also the life and legacy they could build together? The answers felt just out of reach. Emily took a deep breath, knowing that whatever lay ahead would reshape their world forever. Emily stood in the community center, the hum of chatter surrounding her like a warm blanket. Bright banners hung from the ceiling, colorful and hopeful, announcing the fundraiser event. She watched Lucas, his little hands working diligently as he crafted decorations with other children. Their laughter unleashed a ray of sunshine, something Emily needed more than ever. Her father rounded the corner, coffee in hand, and once again, that mix of joy and dread churned in her stomach. He looked older, the battles of life etching lines on his face. Maybe he felt the passage of time more than she realized. As he approached, Emily held her breath, grappling with varying emotions that rose within her. Could she open her heart to the person she had been forced to distance herself from? "Hey, Em," he said, his voice heavy yet warm. "You're doing great here. Really great." She nodded, unable to form words. Instead, she turned her gaze toward Lucas, entangled in laughter and imagination, oblivious to their complicated reunion. His innocence reminded her what was at stake. Is he excited to perform at the talent show later? Her father asked, his expression softening. Yes, he has been practicing all week, she replied, forcing a smile. He has been singing This Little Light of Mine. It's his favorite. Her father chuckled, eyes glistening. He always loved that song. There it was, the flicker of connection she both craved and feared. Emily felt her heart struggle against the walls she had built up over the years. You've really made an effort here, she managed to say. It means a lot. Only because I want to be part of your lives. I know I've been absent, his words faltered, and the regret hung heavy. But I'm trying to change, Em. She glanced at him, searching for sincerity. She didn't want to be the reckless daughter who forgave too easily, but felt a shift, tiny but significant. It was terrifying. Can trust grow in such cracked ground? As they stood together, a wave of laughter rippled through the room. A banner fell from the wall, and the children squealed, darting away from their crafting. Once again, Emily looked toward Lucas, who was now playfully dodging the decorations and leading a troop of kids into a rule-free game of tag. The innocence of that moment struck her hard. Would he ever understand why things had been so complicated for them? Would he be disappointed in her if she chose to embrace this man who had left her behind? Emily, her father's voice broke through her haze. Can we talk? Just the two of us? She hesitated, scanning the community center. People were buzzing with excitement, completely unaware of the awkward gravity hanging over her. It felt like a moment set apart from everything else. Okay, she finally said. The word tasted foreign, like a bridge built over a river she wasn't sure could hold. As they stepped outside, the air was fresh, invigorating. Birds chirped in the distance as the sun dipped lower, a golden orb casting hues of orange and pink across the sky. Emily felt both frightened and electrified, her heart racing with the thrill of possibility mixed with doubt. They found a little bench tucked against the side of the building. Emily's hands trembled slightly as she seated herself. She could feel the weight of years poised to tip one way or another. Her father sat beside her, his presence both familiar and unsettling. Before we dive deep, just know, he started, taking a deep breath. I have so much to explain. So much I regret. Do you really think it's that simple? Emily couldn't keep the edge from her voice. I want to understand, but the uncertainty hung between them, thick and heavy. Could she really forgive? Could this be the start of something new? But just as she felt ready to push his world apart, Lucas came running out, breathless and bright-eyed. Mom, you have to see this. I won. Emily stood abruptly, her heart swelling and breaking all at once. Lucas had won the mini-games, and didn't he even know the real game was playing out right behind him? Hold that thought, she said, her heart torn between joy and unresolved feelings. As she watched Lucas celebrate with the others, part of her still felt heavy with doubt. Would she be able to navigate this new relationship? Why did everything feel so uncertain? But in that very moment, standing tall beside her son, Emily realized that the real question was whether she could open her heart enough to find the answers. And for the first time, she took a step forward, still uncertain yet ready to embrace whatever came next. Emily watched Lucas dart around, his laughter lacing the air with joy. It was the kind of sound that tugged at the corners of her heart, pulling out both warmth and apprehension. She couldn't help but smile at his wide grin, a beacon of pure happiness amidst the chaos of emotions swirling inside her. But as her vision drifted back to her father, sitting on the bench with hands clasped, the smile faded to a flicker of uncertainty. His expression spoke volumes, a mix of hope and fear. What did he truly want to say? What could he say that would erase the years of absence and silence? Mom, come on, you have to see this. Lucas's voice rang out, pulling her away from her thoughts. She took a deep breath, forcing herself to shift focus. I'm coming, Emily called back, breaking into a jog toward where the children had gathered. Her heart surged with pride watching Lucas shine, the center of attention, animated and vibrant. Look what I made, he shouted, displaying a colorful ribbon he had won. It flapped proudly in the air like a flag of accomplishment. That's amazing, buddy, she cheered, dropping to her knees to catch him in a tight hug. In this simple moment, A flicker of clarity pierced through all the heaviness, the pure joy of Lucas overshadowing her fears. She realized this wasn't just about her father's return or their complicated history. It was about being present for Lucas, about being the mother he needed. As she pulled away, Lucas's eyes sparkled with excitement. "Can you sing with me tonight?" he asked, the question weighted by childlike hope. "Of course. I wouldn't miss it for the world," Emily replied, his excitement melting away some of her lingering doubt. But just as Lucas beamed at her response, her father approached from behind, hesitant yet determined. "How about I join you for the performance?" The surprise in Lucas's eyes sparkled with delight, a hopeful grin spreading across his face. Emily's stomach twisted. Did she really want this? Could she really allow her father to step into this moment, this joyful patch of her life where she had shielded Lucas from past heartaches? It could be fun, right? Her father prodded gently, his voice almost soothing. Emily bit her lip, torn between the possibility of family unity and the fear of resurrected pain. She glanced at Lucas, who was looking between her and his grandfather with wide, expectant eyes. Maybe Lucas wanted this an opportunity to build connections, bridges she had been too afraid to cross. I guess it could be okay," she said softly, feeling the warmth of the moment envelop her. "Awesome!" Lucas cheered, dragging both of their hands as he led them back toward the crowd. Emily trailed behind, heart racing once more, feeling the weight of choice heavy on her shoulders. As they reached the stage area, a wave of uncertainty washed over her. In that instant, the reality of what she was opening the door to gripped her father in their lives again, standing beside them for something as personal as Lucas's performance. The thought was exhilarating and terrifying all at once. When they took their place among a sea of parents and children, Emily forced herself to focus on the stage. She watched as the other kids lined up, excitement buzzing in the air. But as she glanced over at her father, there it was again, the silent question. Would they ever truly reconcile? Was this a moment of healing, or just another bubble waiting to burst? Lucas glanced up at her, all wide-eyed determination. "Ready, Mom?" "Ready," she whispered, her heart pounding in her chest. Just then, the first child took the stage and began to sing, their small voice echoing off the walls. Emily drew in a breath, ready to hold on to this fleeting moment. But deep inside, she wondered if the true performance was yet to come, a change within her, the risk of reconciliation, and the emotional encore that lay ahead. As Lucas joined in the chorus, Emily's heart swelled with hope, and she wiped away the creeping doubt. Maybe tonight would illuminate the path for all of them, something brighter than the shadows of the past. But the question remained, would her father's presence lead to a rebirth of their relationship, or would it break apart the fragile piece they were trying to build? Emily's breath caught as she watched the small figures on stage. Each child brought a different energy, a mix of innocence and excitement. But her focus remained on Lucas. He was so eager, so ready to shine. The moment his name echoed through the crowd, her heart soared. "Lucas, you got this," she cheered, her voice rising above the applause. Lucas flashed her a dazzling smile, one that could light up the darkest of days. As he stepped forward, lacing his fingers through the microphone stand, Emily felt a surge of protectiveness and pride. This moment belonged to him, a performance woven from his own excitement, not overshadowed by anything from her past. But still, she felt her father's presence like a weight pressing down. The first notes rang out. Lucas opened his mouth and filled the air with his voice, sweet and clear. Emily closed her eyes for just a second, allowing the sound to wash over her, the gentle waves of his innocence pushing back fear and doubt. When she reopened her eyes, Lucas was soaring through the song, lost in the rhythm. Beside her, her father was mesmerized, leaning forward as if to absorb every note, every joyful beat that echoed from his grandson. Seeing him like this, so unguarded and proud, made Emily's heart ache with a mixture of love and trepidation. She wanted to pull Lucas into a bubble, to keep this joy safe from the world, from her father's complicated history. But maybe this was the bridge she needed to cross. As the song neared its end, the crowd erupted in applause, filling the air with warmth. Lucas took a bow, his cheeks flushed with happiness. Emily felt the exhilaration rush through her. Then he looked right at her. "Did you hear me? You were incredible." She leaped forward, wrapping her arms around him, lifting him off the ground in a joyful hug. "Did you see Grandpa?" He giggled, looking over her shoulder. "He loved it." Emily turned to her father, who stood clapping with a huge smile that lit up his face. His joy felt genuine, something she hadn't expected. Behind that happiness lay something deeper, a yearning for connection she had thought lost long ago. As she began, seeking words to bridge the distance between the past and the present. Their eyes locked briefly, and in that moment, she saw weariness, regret, and a flicker of hope. His voice broke through the din of the crowd. "You were amazing, Lucas," he said, kneeling down to his grandson's level. "I'm so proud of you." "Thanks, Grandpa," Lucas chirped, glowing with pride. Emily breathed out slowly, uncertainty bubbling up again. Something shifted. Maybe it was the softening in her father's gaze, or the way he had leaned in closer to Lucas. She could see it, a desire for connection, a chance for restoration, but as she watched their exchange, doubt pierced through her heart. What if this was just the beginning of another cycle of pain? Could trust truly be rebuilt, or were they all just playing a part in an emotional show? "Are you ready for the next song?" Lucas asked, pulling her from her thoughts. With all his energy, he bounced back towards the stage, clamoring to be back at the microphone. "Wait." Emily gripped his arm, hesitating. "We should talk first." The thought slipped out before she could take it back. Her father's eyes shifted from her to Lucas, the weight of their past hanging heavily in the air. "What do you say we go together?" he suggested gently, his voice barely above a whisper. Emily's heart thudded in her chest harder than ever. Could they really take this step? Would it lead to healing or chaos? The echoes of children's laughter mingled with the murmur of voices around them, and she knew this was the moment she had to decide. "Okay," she finally said, her voice shaking slightly. "Let us do it." A rush of uncertainty flooded her, but also an unwavering hope. Holding Lucas's hand tightly, she faced her father, her eyes searching his for sincerity. Just as they started toward a quieter spot to talk, the next act began, a child at the piano, bringing a new wave of emotion that promised to reshape everything. What would be revealed in that tender exchange? Could forgiveness truly blossom amidst the remnants of their shattered past? As they moved toward the side of the stage, Emily felt Lucas's small hand in hers, warm and steady. He was buzzing with energy, unaware of the emotional storm brewing around them. "What is that song about?" Lucas asked, eyes bright with curiosity. Emily tried to focus on his question. "It's about finding your voice and being brave," she said, hoping the simplicity of her words would soothe both of them. But her mind was racing, contemplating her father's sudden warmth and what it could mean. "Like how I sang." Lucas beamed, and in that moment, everything felt perfect. "I want to sing more songs." She smiled, squeezing his hand. "Of course you can. You have a beautiful voice." Just then, Emily glanced back at her father. He was watching them with an expression that was both vulnerable and hopeful. It made her stomach twist. This was the man who had left so much heartbreak in his wake. Could he truly have changed? Emily's voice was soft, drawing her attention back. "Can we talk? Just for a minute? Please." She hesitated. Memories of their past tumbled over one another, words exchanged in anger, and silence that cut deeper than any argument ever could. But this moment was different. Lucas stood between them, a bridge born from innocence. "Okay, just be honest with me." Emily's voice was steady, though her heart raced. The three of them found a quiet corner, away from the clamor of the school auditorium. Emily could hear echoes of laughter and applause drifting in, though it felt distant, like a world apart. Lucas, her father, started, kneeling down once more so they were all at eye level. "First, I want you to know how proud I am of you. You were fantastic on that stage." "Thanks. I want to play piano next," Lucas declared, bouncing on the balls of his feet. "Great idea. I'd love to see you do that," her father replied, his face lighting up. But Emily noticed the way he momentarily turned from Lucas to her, a quick glance that held a weight of its own. "Emily," he said, and she braced herself. "I know I've hurt you and this family. I can't change what happened, but I want to be here, really here for Lucas and for you." A lump formed in her throat. She wanted to scream, to push against the walls that had been built around her heart. "It's not that easy," she replied, her voice trembling. "You've missed so much." "I know. And I hate that," he interrupted, his tone earnest. "But I want to make it up to you both. I'm trying to be better. Can't we start there?" Heavy silence hung in the air. Emily glanced at Lucas, witnessing his innocence amid the turmoil. He was still blissfully unaware of the complexities adults faced, and perhaps she wanted to keep it that way just a little longer. "I don't want him to get hurt again," she finally said, her voice a whisper laced with anxiety. "You expect me to trust you just like that?" "I'm asking you to take a chance," he said, desperation flickering in his eyes. "For Lucas's sake, at least." The weight of the moment sat heavily on her shoulders. Would it be worth the risk to try again? Trust felt like a fragile thing, so easily shattered. But Lucas was watching, hopeful and bright-eyed, and she knew she could not let her fear overshadow his innocence. I need time," she said finally, her voice breaking slightly. "And you need to prove it." Her father nodded, understanding taking over his features. "I will. Just let me show you." Emily swallowed hard, taking in a breath filled with both fear and a flicker of hope. Could this truly be possible? Could they step into the light for once instead of retreating into darkness? Suddenly, Lucas tugged on her arm. "Can we go back? I want to sing again." A laugh escaped her. His enthusiasm was infectious. "Okay, Lucas. Just one more song." As they walked back toward the stage, a swell of emotion washed over Emily. This was a new beginning, whether they were ready or not. But as they stepped back into the bright lights, she wondered, how would it feel to truly forgive, to allow the warmth of a new future to enter their lives? Would she be able to open her heart to the possibility of reconciliation, or was the past too deeply entrenched? In that moment of uncertainty, the sound of the piano drifted in, its notes weaving through the crowd like a promise of something beautiful. Would they be brave enough to reach for it? As they stepped onto the stage, the bright lights flooded Emily's vision. Instinctively, she shielded her eyes, but the sound of applause was a comforting tide that washed over her. Lucas was already bouncing with anticipation, a small whirlwind of excitement. His joy was contagious, and for a moment, she forgot the weight of the conversation they'd just had. "Okay, buddy," she said, kneeling to his level. "What song do you want to sing?" "You pick," he replied, grinning widely, his confidence on full display. Emily's heart melted. This was the Lucas she wanted to nurture, a little boy who dreamed big and sang freely. She scanned the crowd, catching familiar faces, parents, students, all smiling back at her. "All right, how about Somewhere Over the Rainbow?" she suggested, knowing it was one of his favorites. "Yeah, that one." Lucas jumped, his enthusiasm bubbling over. With a few deep breaths, Emily steadied herself and moved to the microphone. "This one's for my little superstar," she announced, feeling the warmth of the crowd's encouraging presence. As the familiar melody filled the air, she glanced at her father standing off to the side, his expression a mix of pride and worry. The piano notes danced in the atmosphere, and as Lucas began to sing, his voice soft yet clear filled the auditorium. It resonated with pure emotion, sending shivers down Emily's spine. She watched him pour his heart into the song, and a sense of pride enveloped her. But just as the first chorus ended, Emily's eyes flickered back to her father. He was looking at Lucas with something close to awe. For a brief moment, the barriers that had divided them felt thinner, almost transparent. She tried to concentrate on the joy of the performance, but the tug-of-war in her heart demanded attention. "Mom!" Lucas's voice suddenly broke through her thoughts. "Join me." Emily was taken by surprise, but felt a rush of joy. She moved to join him, their voices intertwining seamlessly as they sang the next verse together. Lucas's innocent chirping harmonized with her steady tones, and the audience melted into their performance. Emily couldn't help but smile. In that moment, they were a team, a unit, sharing something beautiful. As the final notes faded, applause erupted like a warm wave against her skin. Lucas turned to her, his eyes alight with delight. "Did you see everyone? They loved it. I saw you up there. You were amazing." Emily beamed back, pride bubbling in her chest. As they stepped down from the stage, her father was waiting with an expression that was a bit more relaxed, more assured. "You both were incredible. Lucas, you really shined up there," he added, kneeling to Lucas again. "Thanks." Lucas giggled, clearly basking in the spotlight. Emily watched the two of them, her heart swelling. Could this be a step toward something new? She allowed herself to envision a future where healing might be possible. But deep down, the shadows of doubt nagged at her. What if this was just a fleeting moment of happiness? Would the past come crashing back, shattering their fragile bond? "Emily," her father said, pulling her from her thoughts. "Can we talk again? Away from the noise?" She glanced at Lucas, still beaming, unaware of the complexities swirling around them. "Just a minute," she replied. As they stepped away, leaving Lucas with a friend from the show, Emily braced herself for another round of hard truths. Perhaps she was ready for them, perhaps she wasn't. But in this moment, she knew they needed to find a path forward. What would her father say this time? Would he keep his promise? As the echoes of music filled the air behind them, the weight of those unanswered questions loomed large. There was bravery in facing what lay ahead. Would they take that leap together? As they moved away from the stage, Emily felt her pulse quicken. The chatter of the crowd faded into a distant hum, leaving her alone with her father in a world that felt suddenly vast and uncertain. She could hardly quiet the doubts pounding in her mind. "I know this isn't easy," her father began, shifting his weight from one foot to the other. "But it's important we talk about everything." He searched her face, his eyes pleading for understanding. It felt different this time. He seemed more open, less guarded. Maybe, just maybe, there was hope for rebuilding their relationship. "Okay," Emily replied, forcing her voice to stay steady. "What do you want to talk about?" He let out a breath, as if releasing years of tension. "I've been thinking about how we both need to move past our hurt. What happened, it tore us apart. I realize I haven't been a good father, especially after your mother." The mention of her mother twisted slightly in Emily's chest, bringing with it a rush of old memories that she thought she'd tucked away. It felt raw and new, like a wound still in the process of healing. "It still hurts, Dad." "I know, and I can't change the past," he said softly. "But I want to do better for you and Lucas. I want to be there to be someone you can count on." His sincerity washed over her. Emily hesitated, wrestling with the emotions bubbling within her. "What has changed, Dad?" "Why no? Watching Lucas perform today reminded me of what really matters," he said. "He's got so much light in him. He deserves a family that's whole, a family that looks forward, not back." Tears pooled in Emily's eyes. Here was a moment of truth, raw and unrefined. She wanted to believe him, to trust that he could truly change. "So, what do we do next?" "Let us take it one step at a time." He paused, a soft smile forming. "Maybe we can start having some dinners together, just us three? Like a family again?" Emily considered it, a flicker of hope igniting within her. "I'd like that. We could try. But it's going to take time." "Time is all I need," he promised, his face shifting into something hopeful. "We can make new memories, right?" As they stood together, a strange warmth enveloped them. For the first time in a long while, the future didn't look like a spectral blur of fear and disappointment. Instead, it held potential, like a canvas waiting for vibrant strokes of color. Just then, Lucas bounded back toward them, his cheeks still flushed from their performance, a big grin plastered across his face. "Did you talk? Can we go get ice cream now?" Emily's laughter erupted without warning, almost spilling from her like a relief. The infectious joy in Lucas' eyes made the shadows flicker away for just a moment. "Ice cream sounds perfect," she exclaimed, ruffling his hair. "Yay!" Lucas cheered, pulling them both toward the exit, his energy contagious. As they walked, Emily felt a shift, a possibility blooming inside her heart. She exchanged a quick glance with her father. Neither of them had wandered far from their troubles, but perhaps together, they could find a way forward. However, lurking just beneath the surface were the doubts, the small whispers asking if this was just another illusion. What if the shadows returned, casting doubt on this fragile bond they were attempting to build? "Are you sure about this?" she whispered to him, a hint of vulnerability creeping back into her voice. Would they truly find their way through, or was this just a momentary reprieve before the storm? As those questions hung in the air, Emily took a deep breath, ready to face whatever was to come together. But in her heart, she knew the real challenge was just beginning. Would they really be there for each other when the darkness fell again? Walking down the street, the scent of vanilla wafted from the nearby ice cream shop, a sunny refuge that felt miles away from their past troubles. Lucas tugged at Emily's hand, practically bouncing with anticipation. She looked at him, his innocence so pure, and tried to hold on to that warmth. "You're going to love this place. They have the best sundae ever," Lucas exclaimed, his eyes bright with excitement. That smile spread on Emily's face, momentarily pushing her worries aside. She wanted to be present in this moment, to relish the simple joy of being together. "Sounds amazing, buddy," she said, giving him a playful nudge as they stepped inside. The shop was bustling with families and laughter. The cozy atmosphere enveloped them, and for a moment, her heart felt a little lighter. Her father stood at the counter, glancing over the vast array of flavors. "What do you think? Should we try something adventurous or stick to classic vanilla?" "Adventure," Lucas shouted, fists pumping in the air. "Okay, how about mint chocolate chip for you?" he asked, smiling warmly. Lucas nodded vigorously, practically vibrating with enthusiasm. Emily watched their interaction, reminded of the bond that was beginning to mend right in front of her eyes. For the first time in years, the sight didn't sting, it felt hopeful. After they ordered, they found a small table near the window. Sitting down, Emily caught her father's gaze again. "So you mentioned dinners together?" she said, stirring her spiraling thoughts into something tangible. He leaned forward, bracing his elbows on the table. "Yes, I really want to make it work. We can do movies, games, anything you guys enjoy." Her throat tightened. "Do you mean it? Like really?" "Absolutely," he replied, his sincerity warm and palpable. "Life's too short to let the past dictate our future. I want to create a family that doesn't shy away from each other." The ice cream arrived, and Lucas dug in, his laughter overflowing with delight as he made a mess with his cone. Emily found herself laughing in response, momentarily forgetting the chaos that often surrounded their lives. "See? Just like old times," her father said, smiling at Lucas. But as the sweetness of the moment filled the air, anxiety crept back into Emily's mind. "What if it's still hard?" she asked, voicing her fears. "We can't just pretend the past is gone, can we?" "No, we can't," her father admitted, his expression growing serious. "We'll need to face it. Together." "Together," Emily repeated, feeling the weight of that word. It held a promise, but it also hinted at challenges they hadn't prepared for. Could they truly confront the shadows that lingered? "Let us make a pact," Lucas interjected, licking his ice cream. "We promise to always talk about stuff. No secrets." Emily chuckled at her brother's earnestness, but found herself touched by his innocent perspective. "That's a great plan. What do you think, Dad?" He nodded, eyes glowing with agreement. "Definitely. Communication is key. No sweeping things under the rug." They shared a collective laugh, the warmth of the moment drawing them closer, but Emily's heart still thudded with uncertainty. Could they maintain this openness when they faced the inevitable rough patches ahead? As they enjoyed their ice cream, each bite filled with flavors that danced on their tongues, Emily felt like she was teetering on the edge of something beautiful and fragile. Life might be turning a corner toward hope, but would they stick together when the streets got rough again? She heard Lucas chattering excitedly about new games to play, drowning out her thoughts. But in that instant, a shadow flickered in her heart, a reminder of what stood between them and their new beginning. Would they be strong enough to hold on when tested again? There was so much left unsaid, and as the afternoon sun streamed through the window, Emily knew this was just the beginning. As they finished their sundaes, the late afternoon sun cast a golden glow over the ice cream shop, making it feel like a scene from a movie. Emily leaned back in her chair, watching Lucas, his eyes sparkling with joy, while her father wiped the cream from the side of his mouth, chuckling at Lucas's antics. "Can we go to the park next?" Lucas asked, his chin smeared with chocolate. "I want to play on the swings." Emily's heart swelled at his request. What a simple, innocent wish. She glanced at her father, who nodded in agreement. "Absolutely. A little fresh air and some fun sounds perfect." A wave of gratitude washed over Emily. They were crafting new memories, each one an attempt to stitch together the frayed edges of their family. As they stepped out into the warm breeze, the world seemed to shimmer with potential. They made their way to the nearby park, laughter spilling from Lucas as he raced ahead, darting through clusters of people, his excitement contagious. Emily and her father walked hand in hand behind him. "Emily," he started, his voice laden with sincerity. "I really want to thank you. This is everything I've wanted. To have you both here, laughing. It feels real." "It does," Emily replied, her heart battling between the hope blooming inside and the fear still lurking in her mind. "But it's fragile, Dad. It always feels like it could crumble away." "I know," he said softly, glancing forward as Lucas took a flying leap onto the swings. "But we can't avoid the challenge. We have to keep trying. You don't have to hold on to everything alone. I'm here now." She looked up at him, searching his face for reassurance. Could he really mean it? She wanted to believe him, but doubted the road ahead would be so smooth. "Guys," Lucas shouted, pulling them back into the moment. "You have to see how high I can go." He pumped his legs, the swing lifting him higher, a small monument of joy against the backdrop of a cloudy sky. As Emily watched him soar, she felt a shift within. The shadows of the past were still there, but perhaps they didn't have to define her. Just then, Lucas called out again, his voice bright and joyous. "I'm flying!" he exclaimed, laughter ringing through the air. "Just don't let go," Emily teased, but her own heart raced, caught in the thrill of possibility. Her father laughed. "You'll be fine, buddy. Just remember, keep your hands on the swing." "Yeah, and if I fall, I'll get right back up," Lucas replied, an unwavering confidence that brought tears to Emily's eyes. They shared a knowing smile, the moment encompassing every fear and joy, every wound and hope. But as Lucas zoomed back and forth, Emily felt the first tremors of uncertainty crackle beneath the surface. What if this wasn't the end of their struggles? What if tomorrow they encountered a glitch, a remnant of the pain they tried so hard to escape? Suddenly, a loud voice cut through her thoughts. "Emily." It was Grace, her childhood friend, standing by the entrance to the park, surprised and smiling. Emily's heart dropped. Grace hadn't seen her in years, not after everything that happened with her family. "Hey, Grace." But before she could finish, memories of their past collided with the present. What would she say? Would Grace judge her and her father, the very person she was trying to put pieces back together? "Is that Lucas?" Grace's face transformed from confusion to amusement. As she approached, Emily felt the weight of the world on her shoulders. Would this encounter shatter the fragile bridge she had been trying to create? Emily's heart raced, and as Grace drew closer, she realized she stood at a crossroads, teetering on the edge of hope and fear, ready to confront whatever lay ahead. Would her past catch up with her, or could this be the chance to build an even stronger future? Emily stood frozen, her heart racing as Grace approached with a bright smile. The warmth in Grace's expression made her hesitantly hope for good feelings, but doubts festered beneath the surface. Memories of their parents' past arguments, of absence and disappointment, rushed back, but cheeky Lucas gave her a tug, breaking the spell. "Mom, come see how high I can swing," he shouted, oblivious to the emotions swirling around them. "Of course, sweetheart," Emily replied, forcing a smile. As Lucas bounded toward the swings, she turned back to Grace, who stood there, curiosity sparking in her eyes. "Wow, Lucas is getting big." Grace exclaimed, her joy genuine. It's been forever, hasn't it? Yeah, it feels like it, Emily replied, treading carefully. How have you been? Grace chuckled, the familiarity of their friendship almost easing the tension. Busy with work, but things have settled down. I came to see what's happening here today. Thought I'd catch some sun. Before Emily could think, she felt her father inching closer, an unfamiliar knot twisting in her belly. Would this meeting turn awkward? Grace's eyes flickered to him and back to Emily. Emily, is this? Grace began cautiously, the light in her eyes dimming as she absorbed the scene. Yes, it's my dad, Emily said, her voice steadier than she felt. We've started rebuilding our relationship. Grace's expression shifted from shock to understanding. I didn't know. Feeling like she was walking a tightrope, Emily held her breath, gauging Grace's reaction. It's been a journey, she said simply. Would Grace see the changes, or would she look at her father as the man who had hurt them all? I'm just here to support them now, Emily's father said, stepping forward. I want to do right by Emily and Lucas. The sincerity hung thickly in the air. Grace's gaze softened. It's brave of you to show up again. I know that can't be easy. That acknowledgement felt like a small victory for Emily. It could be the start of healing not just for her and her father, but for herself with the people she once trusted. Thanks, Grace. It really means a lot that you understand. Lucas took that moment to jump off the swing, landing perfectly on wobbly legs. Did you see? I made it all the way to the sky. His laughter rang like bells, breaking any lingering tension. Grace giggled at Lucas, her face lighting up. See? He's a natural. Pro swings it. That's right. I could be in the Olympics. Lucas declared, jumping back on the swing, swinging higher and faster again. Maybe another kind of Olympics? Emily's father suggested with a chuckle. As the laughter relaxed Emily's shoulders, a sense of determination flickered within her. I want to show Lucas how family can move forward, despite our past, she said, feeling increasingly stronger in her choice. Families can change, Grace replied, her kindness warming the air. And it looks like you're doing just that. Emily could sense her father's relief in the moment. But behind Grace's words remained a hint of uncertainty. Could she bridge the distance, carrying both her father's mistakes and Lucas's innocence? Do you want to join us? Emily asked Grace, wanting to extend the olive branch. Really? Grace's surprise showed. I'd love to catch up. Over swings and all. As Lucas continued to shout in excitement, she felt a surge of hope washing over her. This moment was a fresh start, one lightened not just by her father's presence, but perhaps a rekindling of old friendships too. A companionship that could grow, just like the anticipated blooming of their new family dynamic. Walking toward the swings together, Emily's heart swelled. They were all moving forward, connecting over laughter and play, drawing strength from the past while crafting a new narrative. Ready, Mom? I'm going to fly, Lucas shouted. Let us see it, champ. Emily cheered back, feeling the rush of possibility fill the air, and in that moment, beneath the sun and the sounds of laughter, she realized it didn't matter what challenges lay ahead. What mattered was how fiercely they would face them together. Healing had begun and, somehow, maybe they'd finally get it right. As they shared sunshine and joy, one truth became crystal clear sometimes. Taking that leap into the unknown was worth the risk, and love could reshape their story in beautiful, unanticipated ways. And as if echoing her thoughts, Lucas shouted, Mom, let us build a fort next. A cool one. Absolutely. Emily laughed, her heart beating strong. Together, the three of them walked into the future, hand in hand, ready for whatever adventures awaited them. Now, this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now to our channel so you don't miss out on the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help our community grow tremendously. Comment below with your feelings and reactions about this amazing conclusion. And remember, share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second.